Hi there, this is Rob, and this is the 2-minute overnight overview for Tuesday. A little research to discuss today, but first let's look at yesterday's odds and last night's action. Here's the odds sheet as it stood on Monday afternoon. As you can quickly tell, with none of the averages columns highlighted in either green or orange, there was nothing suggesting much of an edge. ES saw moderately positive price action, internals that were barely above break-even, and seasonality that was a little below break-even. Studies were mixed. The 2-minute overview study from yesterday suggested a downside risk for the overnight. There was also one edge finder study that appeared, but it had bullish inclinations. So without a clear edge once again, I stood aside and did not take an overnight trade. I typically run the trade discussion room 3 days a week, and yesterday it was not open. On days like that, I make my intentions known with a quick note for subscribers. You can see yesterday's note right here, which I posted a little before the 4 p.m. bell. So let's take a look and see how the night played out. After settling at 1455.75, ES traded lower for most of the night. At the open, it gapped down a fairly moderate 2.25 points. Let's look at the daily chart and examine what's going on there. After closing at a 50-day high 2 days ago, the market is in danger of closing down now for the second day in a row. I look back at other times since the beginning of 2006 that ES closed lower 2 consecutive days following a 50-day high. Here are the results. There have been 55 instances, only 21 of which have gapped up the following morning. And with gaps down larger on average, the gross overnight losses have been a little more than double the gross overnight gains. So these numbers suggest a bit of a downside edge. Let's take a peek at the performance graph. It's choppy, but it's also just suggestive of a downside edge. One issue I have with this study, though, is that prior to 2006, this setup seemed to suggest an upside edge. So I'm not 100% sold on this one, but I am willing to take the evidence under some consideration when evaluating the odds this afternoon. Thanks for listening, and rest easy. Bye-bye.